Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United lost the Europa League final. Villarreal won 11-10 on penalties. David De Gea missing a penalty gave us that loss. It was 1-1 after extra time. I'm very disappointed. Villarreal won their first major trophy in their history. Unai Emery has now won the Europa League 4 times because he did win it 3 times with Sevilla. Another trophyless season for Manchester United. We haven't won a trophy now for 4 years. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out and said that we didn't turn up in the final, and Solskjaer accepts it's not been a success this season. You know, that final was a chance of Solskjaer getting his first trophy on the board as Manchester United manager. Marcus Rashford came out and said that we will never give up. He's promised the fans. I thought though, across 120 minutes, the game lacked quality. There was only, 3 shots on target? I think our best player was Scott McTominay. Drove forward well. Created some good openings. Won some good tackles and had a few shots. So I'll give credit to Scott McTominay. Marcus Rashford, I thought he endured a poor game, but he did actually have a very good chance in the second half. But I thought Rashford on and off the ball was poor, his control was poor, and his decision making was poor. Marcus Rashford sustained a knock. Mason Greenwood, I thought he endured a pretty good game. I think he put in a very good cross in the first half. Edison Cavani, he obviously scored our equaliser in normal time. I thought he did quite well. And Wan-Bissaka, I thought he got forward well at times. Defensively, he was quite good and he did put some good crosses into the box. Victor Lindelof, he endured a very poor game. Defensively, he was terrible and definitely accountable for Villarreal's goal. Eric Bailly, thought he endured a pretty poor game. Got bullied too often. Luke Shaw, I'd say average performance. You can say he's partly to blame for their goal as well because he allowed the cross to go in. De Gea didn't really have much to do across the 120 minutes. Couldn't really do anything about Moreno's goal. But De Gea had 11 chances to save a penalty. And of course he missed one himself. Chris Sutton's actually come out and said that Dean Henderson should have replaced De Gea for the penalties. Paul Pogba, I thought he started the game well and then he faded away. Bruno Fernandes, he was very quiet. Didn't get on the ball enough. I've got to criticise Solskjaer as well. Solskjaer has no plan B. I thought Solskjaer brought his substitutions on far too late. The first sub he brought on, I think, was in the 100th minute of extra time. In the semi-final against Sevilla, Last season, we didn't win a substitution on until the 87th minute. So this is what I mean regarding Solskjaer. His decision making really concerns me. You know, just finds it really hard to change a game. You know, I presume there'll be a lot of Manchester United fans now demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the club. He won't get sacked now because it said, you know, earlier on this year, you know, even if we don't win the Europa League, we're going to stick with Ole. I think Ole's going to get one more season, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware that next season is going to be massive for him. Next season, he has got to exceed expectations if he is to remain Manchester United manager. Next season is going to be his third full season. You know, Solskjaer's now enjoyed 2 full seasons at Man United. And we've got a big summer ahead. You know, it's very imperative that Solskjaer gets the players he wants to recommend in. Because so far he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. You know, Solskjaer has not been backed enough. But like I've said on my videos before, Solskjaer is not the long-term manager for Manchester United. He's not the man who's going to deliver titles to Old Trafford. Because he hasn't got that big club mentality as a manager. But you know what? I'm actually surprised that we lost because I was expecting Man United to beat Villarreal. You know, we was the favourites going into the game. You know, like I said though, Villarreal are not world beaters, but they are no pushovers. Villarreal obviously finished 7th in La Liga. And Unai Emery, you know, got to give him credit, you know, done a good job at Villarreal. I think he's enjoyed 1 season with them now. You know, he's won the Europa League with them. He's managed quite a few clubs before though. Don't forget he was at Arsenal at one point. He endured, 18 months with Arsenal. Managed Sevilla before, like I mentioned, he won the Europa League 3 times with them. Managed Valencia before. Managed Spartak Moscow. Also managed Almeria. Managed Lorca Deportiva. Managed PSG. So I think they're all the clubs he's managed. On my next video, I will be giving you my player ratings from this game. The 5 substitutions Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought on, or was it 4? He brought Alex Telles on, he brought Fred on, he brought Juan Mata on, he brought Axel Tuanzebe on, and he brought Daniel James on. Some United fans think it was the wrong call to start Marcus Rashford. You know what though, I think Solskjaer got his team selection right. You know, we played our strongest team, but I just thought he brought the substitutions on too late. You know, he should have brought a sub in like, the 50th or the 60th minute. You know, I just think Solskjaer was scared. And you know what? Villarreal totally nullified us. And I thought Unai Emery tactically got it spot on. So you've got to give him credit in that aspect. Harry Maguire was a miss for Man United, without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, he travelled to Gdansk, but he missed the final training session, like Solskjaer confirmed just before the game. Harry Maguire has got ligament damage in his ankle. Don't forget he sustained that ankle injury in our 3-1 win against Aston Villa. But defensively, we are shambolic without Maguire. Obviously, Martial remains out. I think there's a good chance we'll offload Anthony Martial in the summer transfer window because he's no longer good enough to represent the club. Martial's been out of an knee injury for a long time, and Phil Jones is still out. Obviously, Fred, he obviously didn't start the game because he had a knock. Now, there's a lot of players that Manchester United are linked with. Now, obviously, you know the news regarding Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. I want Manchester United to sign Jadon Sancho in the summer transfer window because he will dramatically improve us. The reasons I want him is because he'll exceed expectations in the Premier League. He's good at creating chances and he will assure us goals, and plus he's got a very good friendship with Marcus Rashford. Now, Jadon Sancho's come out and said that he wants his future resolved before the start of the Euros. Dortmund have set their asking price. They want £82 million. Jadon Sancho has Man United transfer hopes because Borussia Dortmund are looking for replacements. Borussia Dortmund recently told Jadon Sancho that he can leave the club this summer. Solskjaer's made Jadon Sancho a transfer priority. Fabrizio Romano did say not so long ago that Man United are interested in Jadon Sancho, but he said there's been no official talks or bids yet. And it's an open race. You know, Chelsea are in for him, Liverpool were in for him, and Bayern Munich have recently entered the race. But I think Sancho expects to complete a move to Man United in the summer transfer window. It says the deal for Jadon Sancho has been agreed. You know, Sancho's agreed a contract and the personal terms have been agreed. Sancho loves the prospect of joining Manchester United this summer. Last summer, Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target. Sancho to Man United last summer was extremely close. You know, the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed, but we couldn't come to an agreement on an actual fee. You know, we was reluctant to meet Borussia Dortmund's 108 million valuation. We was only willing to pay so much up front. But Dortmund said we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We obviously missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. I hope Manchester United sign Harry Kane in the summer transfer window. I think Kane will either come to us or he'll go to Man City. Well, he's actually a lot more chance of winning silverware at Man City than he is at Man United. Now, obviously, the other week, Harry Kane put a transfer request in at Tottenham. Don't forget, Harry Kane did have an interview with Gary Neville to discuss his future. Kane did say, didn't he, that he wants to win team trophies. He said that after Tottenham's Carabao Cup final defeat to Man City, Tottenham have not won a trophy for like 13 years. Daniel Levy recently slapped a £200 million asking price on Kane. That is a world record fee. Tottenham won't get nowhere near £200 million. He said initially they wanted from between 120 to 150 million. I think the most they'll get is 120 million pounds. Daniel Levy was furious with Harry Kane for going public with his desire to leave the other week. Because obviously Daniel Levy is aware of how much of an imperative player Harry Kane is. Because Daniel Levy does not want to sell Kane. Recently said Mauricio Pochettino could make a return to Tottenham. And apparently that could convince Harry Kane to remain at Tottenham. Mauricio Pochettino is PSG manager at the moment and he's actually unhappy at PSG. Pochettino did manage Tottenham before for 5.5 years, and analysing the vast majority of his tenure, Tottenham were competing in and out of the top 4. And back in 2019 he guided Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final. Don't forget, at one point Mauricio Pochettino was linked with a managerial role at Man United. That's obviously when Solskjaer was under serious pressure. I think Man United should have actually appointed Pochettino when we could have done, when he was managerless. But Man United, Man City and Chelsea have all been in contact with Harry Kane's representatives. Ryan Mason, who's Tottenham's interim manager at the moment, dismissed suggestions that Harry Kane asked to leave. Chelsea not so long ago launched a bid, says they was willing to offer Tam Abraham and Arrizabalaga as part of a swap deal for Kane. Can't see him going to Chelsea. Gary Neville recently named 3 players Man United could swap for Harry Kane. That's Martial, Lingard and Daniel James. Solskjaer is actually pushing for Man United to sign Kane because he's open to selling Martial to, find space for Harry Kane. Man United are ready to double Harry Kane's wages to around £400,000 a week. And he said we would pay an 18 million signing on fee to compensate the loss of his earnings on his Tottenham contract. But yeah, we still do want a striker, despite Edison Cavani signing a 1-year deal not so long ago. The reasons I'd take Kane at Manchester United is because he'd dramatically improve us. He'd assure us goals, he's good at creating chances. Other reasons is because he's regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. He's a prolific goal scorer and he's well Premier League proven. Isn't he? So they are the reasons. Harry Kane has been a very long-serving player at Tottenham. He's endured 17 years with them. Been in their senior squad since 2009. Came up their youth academy. Got a contract with Tottenham till 2024. He has had loan spells before with Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester. I'd love Man United to sign Declan Rice in the summer transfer window because we do need a holding midfielder. Rice is predominantly a holding midfielder, but he can also be deployed as a centre-half. Darren Fletcher, our technical director, did say that Declan Rice asked about Man United when he was on international duty with England. Declan Rice obviously wants West Ham to get Jesse Lingard on a permanent transfer. Obviously we want to get rid of Lingard because Solskjaer recently made his final decision on Lingard. Reports were coming out earlier on this year though saying that Declan Rice is interested in joining Man United and he asked Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw about life at Old Trafford. At one point it said West Ham were demanding £100 million. £100 million is way too much for him. I reckon he's worth from between 60 to 70 million. But I think, we could get Declan Rice for around 50 million in the summer transfer window. Rice would be a good adequate replacement for Matic. Rafael Varane, obviously we want to sign him. It recently said Man United have held talks with Rafael Varane's representatives. Fabrizio Romano did say not so long ago that Rafael Varane is the main name on our list, and we're waiting to see what happens with his situation at Real Madrid. Real Madrid want around £60 million for him. So yeah, and I'm expecting some outgoings in the summer transfer window. Solskjaer did recently say, though, there may not be many outgoings. I've already gone through with you the players I think should leave. I think De Gea needs to go now. Cost us the final by missing the penalty. And obviously he's our second choice goalkeeper. Now I reckon De Gea's now had his years at Manchester United. He's enjoyed 10 years at the club, so he has been a long servant. Romero needs to go, Lee Grant needs to go, Phil Jones needs to go. We need to loan Brandon Williams out so he gets a lot more opportunities and he gains more experience. Williams doesn't hardly get in our team. He's our third choice left back. Delors will be looking to get rid of him permanently. He's out on loan with Milan at the moment. Andres Pereira will be looking to get rid of him permanently. He's out on loan with Lazio at the moment. We need to get rid of Nemanja Matic because he isn't one of our first choice midfielders. We need to get rid of Juan Mata. I think Juan Mata is going anyway because he did say his farewells in our 2-1 win against Wolves on the final game of the Premier League season. Obviously scored in that game from the penalty spot. Solskjaer did say not so long ago, though, that no decision has been made on Juan Mata's future, and he also wants us to offload Anthony Martial. So the players that we do sell in the summer transfer window will generate money, and it will help us with our rebuilding process. But not long now until the summer transfer window opens. It opens on the 9th of June. So yeah, hasn't been a successful season for Manchester United. Finishing second in the Premier League is not an achievement. As Rashford was saying, if we'd have won the Europa League, then that would have been a fantastic achievement for Solskjaer and Manchester United in general. And like I said earlier, that would give us something to build on going on into next season. Next season, Solskjaer's got to win a major trophy to save his job. Because going 4 years without a trophy is nowhere near good enough to our standards. But like I say, we still need to give Solskjaer a bit more time. We do. And I presume there's still a lot of United fans that are only going to Solskjaer in, despite us losing that final. Earlier on this year, it said that Ollie agreed a 3-year contract worth 30 million, likely to be 2 years with an option of an extra one. Did we make a mistake giving him that new contract? Ollie's got just under a year left on his current 3-year contract. Ollie's been Manchester United manager now around 29 months, so that means he's been in charge for over 2 years. Solskjaer will not succeed as Man United manager. I hate to say it, but I'm just being realistic. He hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. Obviously before he was with us, he was at Molde. Won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. He enjoyed, 2 spells at Molde. And at one point he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. But whatever happens in regards to Solskjaer, we'll still always love him because at the end of the day, he's a club legend. He enjoyed 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Sir Alex Ferguson's guidance. We did appoint Solskjaer in December 2018 to replace Mourinho, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. We gave him the job permanently back in March 2019, reflecting how well he did as the interim manager. Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive, massive job. And despite us losing the final, I still think he's done a good job, to say the squad he was left with when he got appointed in. And like I mentioned, Solskjaer has not been backed enough by the board. The board's been one of the biggest problems at the club for a long time, reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've also overpaid for players and that. There's a lot of United fans that think we give Solskjaer the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that season to decide or not whether he'd be the right candidate. And some Man United fans think in general we should have never give him the job permanently. But it was hard not to give him the job permanently, when he did well as the interim manager. But I think Solskjaer is our best manager since Ferguson. But hasn't proven himself yet. You've got to credit him in quite a lot of aspects, He got us to the final. That was his first major final as Man United manager. He got us to the FA Cup quarter-final in his second full season. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final. We went the entire season without losing away from home in the Premier League. That's a record. You can say Ollie did well in his first full season. Got us to 3 semi-finals and got us a third place finish. We are in the Champions League for next season. Ole has brought some good players in. So far he's spent almost £300 million. He's got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he's come in. And I like the way he has promoted the youth. And we've enjoyed good periods under Ole where we have seen consistency. So they are the positives regarding Ole. What we've got to do is, we've got to get the Glazers out of the football club. The reasons we've got to get the Glazers out is because they've put us in so much debt. And in general, I hate the way the football club has been run for a long time. So we've got to recommend new owners in. Joe Glazer will be attending the Fans Forum on the 4th of June. Earlier on this year, Joe Glazer wrote a letter to Man United fans, and before, Avram Glazer refused to apologise over the European Super League plans. At the beginning of May, as you all know, Solskjaer said that the Glazers apologised to him. He said the violent incidents went too far. But he says the club have got to take notice of the fans. You can't understand the fans' frustration. At one point, Solskjaer was angry with Gary Neville. Over the protests, Gary Neville had a lot to say on it. The Glazers have been at Man United for 16 years. They bought the club for 500 million back in 2005. We've got Woodward out. He's going to be standing down at the end of the year, which is good news from Man United perspective. It got announced earlier on this year that he resigned as Manchester United vice chairman. Ed Woodward has had a 16-year association with the club. Woodward did say though, didn't he, at one point that I believe Solskjaer's the right man to lead the club forward. And he released a statement, didn't he, regarding Solskjaer and the players, saying that the progress by Solskjaer and the players that season, was clear. But I just think got to get a new board in, and got to get a new manager in at some point next season if things don't work out under Ole next season. But in the last 8 years, Man United have been playing catch-up, as you all know. You know, mistakes have been made in the last 8 years, and that's why we've been nowhere near as consistent as we'd like to have been. The 3 managers that have been sacked since Ferguson was David Moyes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, and we're not even really known as a sacking football club. We've overpaid for players in recent years. We've spent over £1 billion in the last 8 years as well. Must have brought around 37 players in since Ferguson retired. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. That's 8 years ago now. Can we win the title next season? Probably not under Ole. And can we challenge for it next season? It all depends on how we recruit in the summer transfer window. So yeah. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you for today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.